Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, had two fathers. One his own father, whom authors consider as poor, and other his friend Mike's father, whom he is referring as his own father in the book, since he used to spend a lot of time with him, who is rich. Author's poor father was highly educated. He had completed PhD and then finished advanced study on a scholarship. On the other hand, his rich dad never passed out 8th standard. Both dads were successful in their career, though his poor dad had always less money, wherein his rich dad was one of the richest person in the city. Poor dad left bills when he died for his family to pay, but his rich dad left millions of dollars for their kids. Both dads looked at money very differently. Poor dad used to say, going after money is the cause of all problems, and rich dad used to say, having less money is the issue. Poor dad asked him to study well to get a good job, but rich dad asked the author to study well so that he can employ people under him by opening a company. Poor dad always used to say he cannot become rich, whereas his rich dad used to call himself rich, even though if he used to face a financial issue at that time, because he knew how he thinks will affect his own life. Both the dad used to believe in education. Poor dad used to read for getting a job, but rich dad used to read to get richer. Poor dad used to say, I can't afford things, but rich dad always used to figure out how he can afford things, because he believed that to become rich, he has to think, and the more he thinks, the sharp the mind will be becoming. When we think and solve problems, we make our brain muscles strong, and just by saying I can't afford it, we stop our brain from thinking. And the more we think, the more rich we become. Robert was confused between both the dads, since he was a kid then and his rich dad was not rich then. He just had a different approach towards how he looked at things, and due to this, he became rich in the future. Our school teaches us to become lawyer, doctor, or engineer, but it does not teach us about money and how to become rich. Instead, it has been taught at home. Likewise, you are going to learn the same from this video. Knowledge is important than money, because money will come and go, but if you know how to make money, you can again start from scratch. Robert and his friend Mike studied in same school, and Robert wanted to be rich from childhood. One day he asked his father, why isn't he rich? His poor dad replied that he is a teacher and does not know much about being rich, though he and Mike should go to Mike's dad, since he knows a lot about money and how to be rich. Even the bank manager used to praise Mike's dad a lot and told that in no time he will be rich. So now both Robert and Mike decided to go to Mike's dad, whom the author has referred as Rich Dad in the book, to learn from. Rich Dad was a busy person. He used to own few warehouses, a store, a construction company, and 3 restaurants. Still, he agreed to meet Robert, and when Robert and Mike went to meet Rich Dad, they had to wait for a while, and finally when Rich Dad met with them, he offered that he will not teach them in the classroom style by giving lectures. Instead, they had to work for him in store, and they will be paid 10 cents for an hour and teach them how to become rich. Robert and Mike accepted the offer and started working on the store on Saturdays. And after 4 weeks, Robert was fed up by this routine because they weren't getting paid well, and even Rich Dad was not teaching them anything. Even Robert has not seen his rich dad from past 4 weeks. So Robert told Mike that he is going to quit. Listening to this, Mike started laughing, and in anger, Robert asked Mike why is he laughing. Mike told Robert that his father knew that Robert is going to quit the job in some time, and when he does, Mike should bring Robert to his father. Listening to this, Robert was very confused that why Rich Dad treated him this way and asked him to do hard labor. When Robert met Rich Dad on Saturday, he was quite furious and asked Dad, I worked so hard for you, even missed my baseball matches, still you didn't teach me anything, you are just greedy. On this, the Rich Dad replied that Robert, you are being just like my workers, I am teaching you from day one. On this, Robert was shocked and said, you haven't met us, then when did you taught? Rich Dad replied, teaching does not mean lecturing. Instead, I have taught you a life lesson. Listening to this, Robert was even more confused. and said, "If you are going to increase my salary, I am going to work, else I am quitting." To this, Rich Dad replied, "Increase in salary is not going to solve your problem." I am sure even you guys will be confused what Rich Dad is talking about. So basically, Rich Dad was teaching Robert why most people stay poor their whole life. Basic difference between rich and poor is poor work their life for money, wherein rich make money work for them. I will share an example in some time how Robert and Mike applied this lesson in their life. Rich Dad wanted Robert to understand that poor people work their life for salary, and then they wanted their employer to increase the salary, which is not going to solve the problem, since with increased salary standard of living will also increase, hence more expenditure and less saving. For example, if we will get more salary, we will go out to a fancy restaurant to eat and go to a shopping mall instead of a small store for shopping. Rich Dad wanted Robert to understand what poor does their whole life, and when Robert asked Dad to increase the salary, he made him understand about the rat race and vicious cycle of earning more and spending more. Let me explain it with an example. Let's assume a family of four: husband, wife, and two kids. Husband works in a company, wife is a homemaker, and husband got a promotion. To celebrate this promotion, he got his wife a beautiful jewelry set and PlayStation for the kids. Now, because of the PlayStation, the electricity bill will increase, and his wife also asked him to buy an AC, due to which electricity bill increased further. Husband really worked hard in the company and after some time again got promoted. By now, the kids have passed the school and the husband wanted them to go to a very good college which has quite high fees. Because of this again his expenditure was more. This is how normally people live, and we call it a rat race. Initially you will be fearing that if you do not work, how will you pay your bills? Once you got your salary, you will be tempted to buy new stuff like clothes, mobile, shoes, and this life goes on. Now, this does not mean that increased salary will not help you. It will, but only when you start saving the additional income and investing it. But instead, if you keep on spending the additional income, you will be part of a rat race, and people who are part of the rat race do not become rich. Now, I will tell you how Mike and Robert made money work for them. Robert and Mike noticed that a lot of kids of their age used to read comic books and distributor used to throw off old comic books in garbage. So Robert and Mike went to the distributor and asked them to give the comic book instead of throwing it. Distributor agreed to Mike and Robert's request, but on one condition, that they will not resell those comic books. Robert and Mike opened the library in Mike's basement and used to charge kids 10 cents for 2 hours to read comic books, and they hired Mike's younger sister as a head librarian and used to pay her $1 a week. Since Robert and Mike did not had to work in the library, they started making money work for them. In 1923, most powerful and rich people of the US had a meeting which was attended by Charles Schwab, president of Steel Company, Samuel Insull, president of Utility Company, Howard Hewson, president of Gas Company, Leon Fraser, bank president, and few other names were Ivan Kruger and Arthur Cotton. After 25 years, when Charles Schwab died, he had huge debt on his head. Even he spent his last 5 years by taking debt, and same was the case with Cotton and Kruger. Fraser has committed suicide. Due to 1929 recession, these people have faced such consequences. Many sportspersons who were rich also faced the same issue, and they had to work for a living, due to which author requests us to focus on financial education and not on money. Financial education means knowing how to manage and grow your wealth. If you do not have the financial education, you will not be knowing how to manage your money, and money without financial knowledge will be gone soon. Lot of people have asked the author how can they attain financial knowledge, to which author says this is a lifelong process and we can learn by reading books, attending conferences, learning from rich, and act on those learnings. One day, Robert asked his rich dad what is the most important rule of becoming rich, to which rich dad says that we should know the difference between asset and liability and only buy assets. Assets is something which brings money without working. For example, if you have a house which you have rented, so now you will be getting monthly rents, so it is an asset. On the contrary, liability is something which draws out money from you. For example, if you buy a car, the moment the car comes out of the showroom, its value start depreciating. On top of it, we have to pay for fuel and maintenance. Rich Dad always used to keep concepts simple. That is why if you ask an accountant, their definition of asset and liability will be different than Rich Dad's. So now you might think that even Robert has bought all kind of luxuries. Just the difference is rich only buy liability when they are earning extra income from their assets. Since rich people have so many assets that even after deducting expenses, they still have money left. And with the extra cash flow, rich buys the luxury item. Poor people work whole month for the salary, spends it on expenses and buy liability, which further adds on to expenses. On the other hand, rich people has lot of assets like real estate, stock, dividend and incur all expenses from the money they get from these assets and buy assets with the remaining income, due to which they can buy luxuries when their assets have grown exponentially. Robert generally prefers share and real estate. Likewise, you can also do your research about which asset can be bought and start building those assets. How Robert and Mike came up with the library. It was an asset. Similarly, you can come up with various ideas, just need to do some research. Some people might call a job as an asset, but it is not. Since assets should get us income without working, Robert also tells us that we should buy assets which we love because these assets will be managed efficiently due to our interest in it. We will pay extra attention towards it. In 1974, McDonald's owner Ray Kroc went to a university for public speaking event. And Ray asked the student, "Can anyone tell me I am in which business?" Listening to this, students started laughing and said, "You are in burger and fast food business." Ray said, "No, I am in real estate business as I buy the land before opening the restaurant," due to which McDonald's own most of the world's land. If Ray Kroc would have just focused on burgers, he would have not been so rich, but he focused on building asset column. Since the value of land is increasing, their asset and income is increasing, Rich Dad also taught the same lesson to Robert. Robert has shared the secret of rich people, and the secret is mind your own business. Your profession is different than your business. You can be a teacher, engineer, lawyer by profession, but you should have an extra source of income which will help you build asset, and that should be your business. Poor people focus on salary and want it to be increased, but they increase their expenditure. Additional income should be spent on buying assets. Author tells that when you try to do things differently, you will face issues. Once, Robert applied for a loan from bank but got rejected as the bank did not like that Robert was buying most of the land in the area. People will support you if you are like them and follow their path. But if you want a better life, then you have to be different. You might face a lot of objection, but at the end, you will find better rewards. If you are watching this video and you are a working employee, author has given one advice for you. That be an hardworking employee, and when you get the salary, first invest the money into asset. And then the remaining money can be used for expenses and teach your kids about the asset and liability. If you are a student, invest in yourself, upgrade your skills, and after getting the job, start buying asset first, and then remaining money should be spent on expenses. After graduation, Robert spent his early life working for companies and simultaneously building assets like real estate and stock. Robert kept on brushing on his knowledge about stock market and real estate. Robert tells that the basic difference between rich and poor is that poor first spends on luxury from his salary, though rich buys luxury at the last from additional income from the asset. Robert's wife also invests in real estate, and she waited for 4 years to buy Mercedes from additional income from real estate. Start taking small steps today and you will be financially independent in no time. If you liked the video, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll keep on bringing book summaries for you, and please share your valuable feedback which will help us improve in sharing better videos.